Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question. When life knocks you down, when the storm arrives, when the pressure is overwhelming and everything around you seems to be crumbling, can you remain calm? Can you keep your mind steady when the world is chaotic? Because let me tell you something, true strength is not in how hard you hit. Real strength is in how calm you can remain when life strikes you. Most people panic, they react, they allow emotions to take over. And when emotions take charge, wisdom walks out the door. But those who succeed, those who rise above, they train their minds to be calm, focused, and unshakable. Strength is not about how hard you hit. It is about how composed you stay when life throws its hardest punches. Most believe strength is about power, about force, about pushing through with sheer determination. But real strength comes from the mind, the ability to remain unshaken when everything around you is falling apart. It's not about how much force you exert, but about how much force you can endure without losing control. Because life will strike. It will strike hard, and it will strike when you least anticipate it. The real question is not whether you encounter difficulties. The real question is whether you will face them with fear or with focus. Think about a boxer in the ring. A skilled fighter is not the one who throws reckless punches out of desperation. It's the one who knows how to take a hit, absorb the impact, and remain composed. A fighter who panics, who swings wildly, who loses focus because they let their emotions take over, that's the one who gets knocked out. The same principle applies to life. You cannot control every situation. You cannot prevent the unexpected from happening. But what you can control is your reaction. You can train yourself to remain calm, to think, to strategize, instead of simply reacting. Most people let their emotions dictate their actions. Anger, fear, frustration. These emotions rise up in tough moments and take over. And when emotions take control, reason disappears. That's why people make their worst choices when they're upset. That's why people say things they later regret, make decisions they can't take back, and sabotage their own progress simply because they let emotions take charge. But the strongest minds don't function this way. The strongest minds don't let circumstances decide their inner state. They train themselves to be still, even in the middle of the storm. Imagine an ocean during a storm. The waves crash, the wind roars, and the surface is wild. But deep beneath, in the depths of the ocean, everything remains still. No matter how violent the storm is above, the deep waters remain untouched. That is what a disciplined mind is like. The world outside may be noisy, chaotic, full of pressure, but a trained mind does not get swept away by the storm. It stays deep, focused, unshaken. There will be moments in life when everything seems to go wrong. Moments when frustration creeps in, when setbacks pile up, when it feels like you can't catch a break. And in those moments, most people give in. They throw their hands up, lash out, allow stress to take control. But if you train yourself to remain calm, to take a step back, to breathe, and assess the situation before reacting, you put yourself in control. And when you control your mind, you control the situation. Look at the greatest leaders, the most successful individuals. They are not the loudest in the room. They are not the ones who act on impulse. They are the ones who know how to keep their emotions in check, who think before they act, who stay composed under pressure. A leader who panics in a crisis is a leader who loses the trust of their team. But a leader who stays calm, who moves with confidence even in uncertainty, that's the leader people follow. That's the leader who finds solutions while others remain stuck in fear. Calmness is a superpower. It is not weakness. It is not passivity. It is the ultimate form of control. It is the ability to master yourself before attempting to master anything else. A calm mind is a focused mind, and a focused mind is a powerful mind. Because when your mind is clear, you see opportunities others miss. You find solutions others overlook. You make decisions based on wisdom, not emotion. But this kind of control doesn't come naturally It has to be trained, just like a soldier trains for battle, just like an athlete trains for competition. The mind must be trained for life. You have to practice stillness. You have to practice breathing through difficult moments. You have to practice controlling your thoughts, choosing patience over reaction, choosing clarity over chaos. Every single day, life gives you opportunities to practice. When someone cuts you off in traffic and you want to lash out, it's a training moment. When someone criticizes you and you want to react defensively, that's a training moment. When something unexpected happens and your first instinct is to panic, that's a training moment. Each time you choose calmness over chaos, you build strength. Each time you pause before reacting, you gain power. And over time, that control becomes second nature. You become the person who doesn't flinch in the face of adversity. You become the person who remains steady when others fall apart. You become the one who sees clearly when everyone else is blinded by panic. That is true strength. That is real power. That is the mark of someone who is truly unstoppable. When emotions take control, wisdom walks out the door. It happens in an instant. One moment you are thinking clearly, making rational choices, moving toward your goals. The next, something happens. Someone says the wrong thing, a plan falls apart, pressure builds, and suddenly emotions flood your mind. And in that moment, wisdom is no longer in charge. Emotion takes the wheel, and logic, reason, and clarity fade away. Think about how many mistakes in life come from reacting emotionally. How many words have been spoken in anger that could never be taken back? How many relationships have been broken because someone acted on impulse instead of patience? How many opportunities have been lost because frustration made someone give up too soon? Emotion is powerful. It is overwhelming. It makes everything feel urgent, immediate, impossible to ignore. But the truth is, emotions are temporary. They rise, they fall, they come, they go, but the damage they cause can last much longer. Imagine a fire spreading in a dry forest that starts with a single spark, a careless word, a minor inconvenience, a misunderstanding. But if that spark catches, if it is not contained, it spreads quickly. That is what happens when emotions take control. A small frustration turns into rage. A slight setback turns into despair. A passing comment turns into resentment. And before you realize it, your entire state of mind is consumed by the fire. The choices you make in that state will not be wise. They will not be thoughtful. They will not lead to progress. They will lead to regret. Wisdom does not exist in an emotional storm. Wisdom requires clarity. It requires distance. It requires the ability to step back and observe rather than being swept away. The strongest minds are not the ones that never feel emotion. They are the ones that do not let emotion dictate their actions. They feel anger, but do not speak from it. They feel pressure, but do not act from it. They experience stress, but do not break under it. Instead, they pause, they breathe, they wait for wisdom to return before making a move. In every situation, there are two choices: react or respond. Reacting is instant, unfiltered, driven by whatever emotion is strongest in the moment. Responding is different. Responding requires control, it requires awareness, it requires taking a breath and choosing an action that aligns with your goals, your values. People who react live in a cycle of regret. People who respond live in a state of mastery. Think about the most successful people, the greatest leaders, the individuals who inspire others. They are not the ones who lash out, who lose their temper, who make impulsive choices. They are the ones who remain composed, who maintain perspective, who refuse to let temporary emotions dictate permanent decisions. They know that control over emotions is control over life. They understand that every moment of frustration is an opportunity to practice discipline. Every moment of anger is a test of patience. Every difficult situation is a chance to grow stronger. Mastering emotions is a skill. And like any skill, it takes practice. It takes training. It takes self-awareness. It takes the willingness. When everything in you wants to react, it takes learning to ask the right questions. Is this emotion real, or is it just temporary? Will this feeling matter in an hour, a day, or even a year? If I act on this emotion now, will I regret it later? The more you ask these questions, the more you train yourself to respond instead of reacting. The better you get at this, the stronger you become. You become the person who remains calm in the midst of chaos. You become the one who makes decisions with clarity instead of confusion. You become the person others turn to for guidance because they know you are not easily shaken by every passing feeling. That is true strength. That is wisdom in action. That is how you take control of your life. Greatness is not built in comfort. It is forged in fire. Comfort is simple. Comfort is safe. Comfort feels good. But nothing extraordinary ever comes from staying in a place of ease. Nothing that changes the world, transforms lives, or holds true power is ever created by someone who refuses to leave their comfort zone. Growth does not happen where things are familiar. Strength is not built where there is no struggle. Those who rise, those who achieve, those who leave a lasting impact on this world, they are the ones who step into the fire and refuse to back down. Fire refines. It burns away weakness. It reveals flaws. It forces transformation. In the fire, there is no space for pretense, no room for pretending to be strong when you are not. The fire will test you. It will expose who you really are. And that is why so many people run from it. They avoid the difficult road. They choose the path of least resistance. They remain in the same routines, the same environments, the same habits that feel comfortable, but nothing changes in the familiar. Nothing grows without challenge. Think about a blade being sharpened. The metal does not become sharp by being left alone. It must be ground against stone, shaped by pressure, refined by friction. The same is true for people. Pressure builds strength. Struggle builds endurance. Hardship builds character. Every great leader, every champion, every person who has reached the highest levels of success has been tested by fire. They have faced moments of doubt, failure, and pain, but instead of breaking, they embraced the process. They allowed the fire to shape them. They refused to let discomfort make them quit. It is easy to admire greatness from a distance. It is easy to look at champions, legends, and world changers and assume they were simply gifted, that they had something special from the start. But what most people do not see is the struggle. They do not see the sacrifice. They do not see the nights of self-doubt, the battles fought in silence. They do not see the failures that came before success. They do not see the pain that was endured before the triumph. Every great story has moments of fire. Moments where quitting would have been easier, where walking away seemed like the logical choice. But the ones who achieve greatness are the ones who refuse to give in to comfort. They are the ones who keep going even when every part of them wants to stop. Comfort is deceptive. It makes you believe you are safe when in reality you are stuck. It whispers that you are doing enough when deep down you know you could be more. It convinces you that growth is optional, that risk is too dangerous, that effort is not worth it. But the truth is, staying in comfort is the greatest risk of all. Because comfort breeds stagnation. Comfort keeps you trapped in the same patterns, living the same year over and over again, never pushing beyond the limits that hold you back. The fire, however, offers transformation. It is uncomfortable, it is painful, it demands everything from you. But in return, it gives you strength, it gives you wisdom, it gives you resilience. Every time you step into discomfort, you expand your limits. Every time you choose discipline over ease, you build endurance. Every time you refuse to quit when things get hard, you become stronger than you were before. This is the process of greatness. This is what separates those who achieve from those who only dream. There will always be struggles. There will always be obstacles, setbacks, failures. These are not signs to stop. They are signs to push harder. Every setback is an opportunity. Every failure is a lesson. Every challenge is a test. The fire is not there to destroy you. It is there to shape you. It is there to refine you into the person you were meant to become. Doubt is natural. It creeps in when you least expect it. It questions your ability, your worth, your dreams. It makes you hesitate when you should act. It makes you second-guess yourself when you already know what needs to be done. But discipline is stronger than doubt. Discipline says, I don't care how I feel. I don't care if I'm uncertain. I don't care if the path ahead is unclear. I am showing up. I am doing the work. I am pushing forward no matter what. Discipline does not wait for motivation. Discipline does not negotiate with doubt. It acts regardless of the emotions, trying to hold it back. Panic is loud. It makes everything feel urgent, like a storm inside your mind. It rushes you into decisions you are not ready to make. It blinds you to the solutions that are right in front of you. But peace is powerful. Peace is the ability to step back when everything around you is moving too fast. Peace is the strength to breathe, to think, to observe before acting. When you choose peace over panic, you take control of the situation instead of letting the situation control you. Panic leads to mistakes. Peace leads to clarity, and clarity is what separates those who survive from those who thrive. Fear is the greatest liar. It tells you that you are not enough. It tells you that you will fail. It tells you that you are not ready, that you are not capable, that you should turn back. But faith is fearless. Faith says, I may not have all the answers, but I trust my ability to figure it out. I may not know what the future holds, but I believe I have the strength to face it. I may not see the whole path, but I will take the first step anyway. The difference between those who succeed and those who remain stuck is not talent, luck, or intelligence. It is the ability to choose discipline over doubt, peace over panic, faith over fear. It is waking up and doing the work even when you don't feel like it. It is staying calm under pressure, even when everything is uncertain. It is believing in yourself, even when no one else does. Because in the end, emotions are temporary. Fear is temporary. Doubt is temporary. But the choices you make in those moments, they last. They define who you are. Success is not built on feelings. It is built on habits. It is built on discipline. The athlete does not win because they feel motivated every day. They win because they train no matter how they feel. A leader does not succeed because they never have doubts. They succeed because they take action despite their doubts. The strongest minds are not those that never feel fear, but those that refuse to let fear dictate their choices. Every storm eventually fades, but what truly matters is who you become in the process. Life is filled with storms, times of struggle, uncertainty, pain, and pressure. There will be moments when everything seems to be falling apart, when the weight of your problems feels unbearable, when the path ahead looks too dark to navigate. In those moments, most people focus on one thing: survival. They just want to get through, to make it to the other side, to escape the hardship as quickly as possible. But the real question is not whether you will make it through. The real question is how you will emerge once the storm has passed. Difficult times shape people. Pressure can either break you or make you stronger. Struggles can either defeat you or help you grow. The difference lies in how you respond. Some people go through hardships and come out bitter, drained, and discouraged. Others face similar struggles but emerge stronger, wiser, and more resilient. The same fire that melts metal also hardens steel. It is not the storm itself that defines you. It is how you react to it. To think about the strongest people you know, the ones who inspire you, the ones who remain steady no matter what life throws at them. They did not become that way by having an easy life. They became strong because they faced storms and chose to grow rather than break. They decided to learn instead of complain. They found meaning in their struggles instead of allowing difficulties to define them as victims. Strength is not something you are born with. It is something you develop, and it is developed in the midst of life's storms. Most people try to avoid hardships. They do everything they can to escape discomfort, to run from challenges, to find the quickest way out. But what they do not realize is that struggles shape them. Difficulties develop their character. The challenges they face teach them lessons that easy times never could. Growth does not happen when everything is comfortable. Growth happens when you are pushed beyond your limits, when you are forced to adapt, when you are tested in ways you never imagined. A tree that grows in perfect conditions, with no wind, no storms, no adversity, develops weak roots. The moment a strong wind blows, it is uprooted and falls. But a tree that grows in tough conditions, facing powerful winds and relentless storms, develops deep roots. Its foundation becomes unshakable. The same applies to you. Every difficulty you encounter is an opportunity to grow deeper, to become unbreakable, to build a foundation so strong that no storm can destroy it. You cannot control life's storms. You cannot always prevent hardships from coming, but you can control what you take from them. You can choose whether the storm will leave you broken or whether it will leave you stronger than ever. Every struggle contains a lesson. Every hardship has something to teach you. Every difficult moment presents an opportunity to sharpen your character, to build resilience, to develop the kind of mental and emotional strength that will carry you through the rest of your life. People who allow storms to define them as victims spend their lives blaming circumstances they could not control. But those who refuse to see themselves as victims, those who decide to rise instead of retreat, use the storm to their advantage. They learn from it, they adapt, they grow, and they become stronger, wiser, and better prepared for whatever comes next. The truth is that storms do not last forever. No matter how hard it rains, no matter how strong the winds blow, no matter how dark the sky becomes, eventually the storm will pass. But when it does, who will you be? Will you be someone who barely made it through? Or will you be someone who emerged stronger and more resilient than ever before? Every struggle is an opportunity. Every hardship is a test of your strength. The real question is not whether you will make it through, it is who you will become as a result of it. If you choose to let the storm strengthen you rather than break you, you will come out on the other side stronger than you ever imagined. The mind is like a muscle. What you feed it, how you train it, and what you expose it to determine its strength. Just as the body grows stronger through discipline, repetition, and challenges, the mind becomes powerful through intentional focus, controlled thoughts, and mental resilience. Most people do not realize that their minds are constantly being shaped either by the world around them or by their own choices. Every thought, every reaction, every habit is either making the mind stronger or weaker. Those who take control of this process, who train their minds with the same discipline that an athlete trains their body, become unshakable in the face of life's challenges. Mental strength is not something you are born with. It is something you build. It is shaped by the way you think, the way you handle setbacks, and the way you deal with stress, uncertainty, and pressure. The most powerful minds are not the ones that never feel fear, doubt, or frustration. They are the ones that know how to manage those emotions. They know how to keep their thoughts in check, how to stay focused even when everything around them is pulling them in different directions. The ability to remain steady in chaos, to stay calm in the storm, to maintain clarity when others are losing control, that is the power of a trained mind. Training the mind begins with awareness. Most people go through life reacting without thinking, allowing their emotions to dictate their actions, allowing external events to control their internal state. But a trained mind does not react, it responds. A trained mind does not let external circumstances dictate inner peace. It acknowledges emotions, understands them, and then chooses how to act. rather than being driven by impulsive reactions, this level of control is not developed overnight. It is built through intentional practice, by recognizing negativity when it appears, by challenging your own thoughts, by replacing fear with logic, doubt with action, and stress with perspective. One of the greatest indicators of mental strength is the ability to control focus. The mind is constantly bombarded with distractions, worries, negativity, and noise. But a trained mind knows what deserves attention and what should be ignored. It does not waste energy on things that do not matter. It does not allow worry to consume its time. It does not dwell on things outside of its control. Instead, it is disciplined in where it directs its energy, focusing only on what moves it forward. This is what sets apart those who thrive from those who remain stuck. The difference is where they place their focus. Those who train their minds understand that where focus goes, energy flows. They do not waste time on negativity. They do not dwell on the past. They do not entertain thoughts that weaken them. They choose to focus on solutions instead of problems, on growth instead of limitations, on possibilities instead of obstacles. Another key to a strong mind is learning how to handle pressure. Pressure is unavoidable. It is part of life, part of growth, part of the process of becoming stronger. Most people collapse under pressure because they have never trained themselves to handle it. They allow stress to break them instead of shape them. But a trained mind thrives under pressure. It does not see pressure as something to fear, but as something to master. It remains calm, knowing that panic never solves problems. It stays steady, understanding that emotions do not define reality. It remains focused, knowing that the only way to overcome a challenge is to think clearly, act decisively, and refuse to be shaken. Building a strong mind requires consistency. Just as a bodybuilder does not gain strength from training once, the mind does not become strong through occasional effort. It is a daily practice. It is in the way you start your day, in the way you handle obstacles, in the way you push through discomfort rather than avoiding it. It is in the small choices, choosing discipline over laziness, choosing action over hesitation, choosing patience over frustration. Every time you choose control over impulse, you strengthen your mind. Every time you stay calm instead of reacting emotionally, you train your mind. Every time you push forward instead of giving up, you build resilience. When the mind is strong, nothing can shake it. No fear, no pressure, no challenge, because true strength is not found in avoiding struggles, but in mastering the mind that faces them.